Pokemon Ultimate Adventures by Mikazuki. Location: Marble City. The sun had set, and the Marble Desert had become cold. Even with the significant drop in temperature, Ash and company were all exhausted. Don't you think it's really strange that there'd be a big city like this in the middle of the desert? Brock asked, looking around. This place really reminded them of Neon Town, seeing how the city was in the middle of the desert, and there were bright lights and neon signs everywhere. The only difference between this place and Neon was that it was active for reasons other than gambling. This place was made specifically for Pokemon trainers and adventurers, and he could see people everywhere walking with their Pokemon out of their Pokeballs, or having Pokemon battles against each other. "The first thing I want to do is sleep in a nice soft bed," said Misty. "Ditto! We gotta go to the Pokemon Center anyway to have my Pokemon healed," said Tracy. "Not me! I'm starving!" said Brock. "Forget all of those! Just look at all the Pokemon battles going on! I'm gonna battle everyone here and win!" said Ash. "And hopefully, I'll run into some crooked ones too, so I'll also get to beat them up and take their money," he added silently. "Well, we can do all that and more. But first, we should set up priorities on what we should do first," said Eddie. "So first, and most importantly, we should go to the Pokemon Center to have our Pokemon healed." Meanwhile, in a dark alleyway. "So, Meowth, do we have any ideas for an attack?" asked James. "What are you asking me for?" Meowth crossed his arms. "Well, the twerp's gotten awfully strong, way better than us," said Jessie. "I know we're no match for him anymore, but we've been at this for so long! Should we really give up trying to capture Pikachu so suddenly?" asked Jessie. "We're asking you because you're the leader, right?" said Meowth. "I know we trained hard and gotten way better, but it doesn't look like any of our efforts meant anything. Not compared to him. He's just too strong." He sighed and shook his head. "On the other hand, I've checked out the trainers in this city, and all of them are weak. If we just wait for the twerp to leave, this town will be ours. Other than him, there's no one who can win." Ouch! Meowth was suddenly hit by an invisible force, sending him crashing into a bunch of garbage cans, blacking out. Jessie and James spun and saw who did it. A man draped in a silver cloak that covered his face under a hood. Jessie was thrown right off her feet by the same invisible force that had hit Meowth, sending her crashing into a stack of crates, losing consciousness. The man then turned to face James. Stay back! James stepped back nervously and placed his hand on his Pokebelt. "You think you can actually fight me with that ugly beast?" asked the stranger. With his other hand, he removed his hood, revealing his face. Twin Dreamer. James gasped in fear as he saw just who he was facing. You're one of the Super Fiends! He exclaimed as he saw next to him the shadows of the wall suddenly gathering and taking shape into that of a human. The shadow stepped right off the wall, transforming into a man dressed in black. His face wasn't covered, and James could clearly see him. It was Goth. "This is our battle," he spoke coldly to James. From seemingly out of nowhere, he pulled his large scythe and clutched it tightly. "Trash like you are in the way." The two Super Fiends smirked as they looked at James, who was trembling uncontrollably at the sight of them. "Boo!" James screamed in an unusually high-pitched voice, turning around and running as fast as he could, right into a brick wall. "Ouch!" He fell to the ground, unconscious. "Pitiful." Goth closed his eyes and shook his head. "And to think that coward is actually considered strong. Thankfully, he isn't our target." "Our target is Ketchum, he who stands in our way," said Twin Dreamer. "If he is allowed to grow stronger, he will become a threat to us, and a threat to the world. We cannot allow that, as we are the last ones who stand against the deceiver, said Goth. He knows nothing of the cult, but that may change soon. There's no telling whether or not he might even join it. He looked up into the sky and closed his eyes. To challenge Skyrender is to support the cult, whether Ketchum realizes it or not. We must put a stop to it, no matter the cost, no matter who gets sacrificed. Even if it might be us, we cannot allow it to continue. They both stood silently. Let's go. Location: Pokemon Center. Your Pokemon will be fully healed in exactly 1 hour. Nurse Joy accepted the Pokemon from Ash, Misty, Brock, and Tracy and placed them in the machine that recovered their health. Thank you, Nurse Joy. Well, where should we go now, guys? Asked Ebbie as they left the Pokemon Center. I say we eat, said Ash. Yeah! Everyone else called in agreement. Meanwhile, on the rooftops. Almost ready, TD? Goth smirked as he lifted his scythe into the air. Told you to stop calling me that! You know I hate being called by my initials! Twin Dreamer crossed his arms. I still don't see why. It's got a nice ring to it, said Goth. Don't even start, or else! Twin Dreamer snapped at him. Or else what? Asked Goth, glaring seriously at him and causing him to reel back nervously. Twin Dreamer was strong, but he clearly knew which one of them was better. That's more like it. Goth crossed his arms. So, is Phase 1 done yet? Asked Twin Dreamer, changing the subject. If you just read my mind, then you know it is. Goth smirked and looked at his hands, holding a watch. I've planted the bomb I bought off Jolt. But? Dreamer crossed his arms. Goth sighed. Fine, I stole it. No big deal. He looked at the watch. I placed it in the power plant and set it to blow. Total blackout coming in 18 seconds. An explosion rang in the distance. The lights all over the city blinked a few times, and then everything went out, with the exception of a few dim lights. Ugh, Jolt's watch is a piece of junk, Goth sighed, shaking his head and tossing the stolen watch aside. So, shall we get started? He asked, raising his scythe. Ready when you are! Twin Dreamer levitated high into the air. Time for Phase 2! Twin Dreamer raised his hands into the air. A large ball of shining energy formed above. Twin Dream! He fired down 2 beams from each hand. The 2 joined together and spiraled down towards Goth. Power of darkness! Unite with the power of dreams and amplify! Goth twirled his scythe over his head as the Twin Dream came down. Unite! Target everyone in this city! Leave only Ash Ketchum standing! Goth yelled as his scythe shone with a purple negative aura. Soul Harvest! He shouted. There was a bright flash of light as the dark energy gathered. In every direction around him, a gigantic wave of evil energy